Dreamy light was floating, and countless formations were activated before the Dreamweaver Divine Palace. The sky was also covered in colorful, interwoven lights. It made the grand space that was the Dreamweaver Divine Palace look positively like a dream. The 9 lords of the Dream Halls and the 54 governors of the Dreamweaver Kingdom of God were all here. The representatives of the vassal states and factions qualified to attend this ceremony were present since long before the start of the ceremony as well. Nearly all of the Dreamweaver Kingdom of God's core powers were here. As a result, the atmosphere was so heavy it was stifling. This was doubly true for the representatives of the vassal states. They kept their real thoughts firmly trapped within their heads and did not even dare to communicate loudly. It was the Divine Sun conferral ceremony that the Dreamweaver Kingdom of God was once deprived of for over 10,000 years. However, this would be the 3rd time it happened in less than 200 years. The first Divine Sun conferral ceremony happened when Meng Jianyuan was 10 years old. It was an event that shook the entire kingdom. Practically everyone in the world was invited to attend. The lavishness of the ceremony and the intensity of the dreamless Divine Regent's passion was such that no one could forget it to this day. Today, the Divine Sun conferral ceremony was going to be held a 3rd time, and the person to be conferred was none other than Meng Jianyuan, the son who was thought to be lost for 120 years. However, this conferral ceremony was nothing like the first. To say that it was unusual and uncomfortable would be an understatement. Countless people were shooting gazes at the existing Dreamweaver Divine Sun, Meng Jiangxi, though the man carried himself with perfect calmness and dignity. He did not seem to be affected by the conferral ceremony at all. It had been 7 days since Meng Jianyuan returned safely, and he had spent all of his time in the Divine Sun Palace that was built for him back then. As a result, the people who had met him in person were few and far between. Not even the 9 lords of the Dream Halls had seen his face. Finally, the entrance to the Divine Palace opened, and Meng Kongqun slowly stepped out into the open. He was accompanied by the beautifully dressed Empress, Meng Xuanju. The crowd fell silent as they bowed. Long live the Divine Regent and his Empress! Meng Kongqun nodded in response before sweeping his gaze across the surroundings. Then he asked, "Is Yuan not here yet?" The Master of Ceremonies took a small step forward and bowed. "Young Master Yuan isn't here yet, Divine Regent. I would think that he is still preparing." Meng Kongqun turned his gaze and declared loudly, "It isn't time yet, so please enter your seats, everyone." The crowd obeyed and went to their seats in an orderly manner. Countless energies were lurking within the grand venue. Everyone wanted to know what hidden meaning was behind this abrupt Divine Sun conferral ceremony, what the Dreamweaver Divine Regent was thinking, and how it would affect the Dreamweaver Kingdom of God. After everyone had taken a seat, Meng Kongqun swept his gaze across the crowd and prepared to speak. It was at this moment a loud announcement came from afar. "The boundless Divine Son of the boundless Kingdom of God, Dian Jiaji, has arrived." The name caused everyone to look behind them in astonishment. Even Meng Kongqun's eyebrows had twitched just a little. It wasn't long before a masculine silhouette appeared from the distance, and a refined, dignified, and powerful voice followed. "Dian Jiaji of Boundless congratulates the Dreamweaver Kingdom of God for welcoming another Divine Son. I apologize to the Dreamless Divine Regent, his Empress, and all the seniors here for arriving uninvited and humbly request punishment." The current Dreamweaver Divine Son, Meng Jiangxi, swiftly rose to his feet and went up to him with a guffaw. "Ha ha ha ha, what are you talking about, Boundless Divine Son? The Dreamweaver Kingdom of God and my younger brother can only be honored by your arrival. Why on earth would we punish you for it?" He then changed the way he addressed him. "Come, take a seat, big brother Dian." Dian Jiaji gave Meng Jiangxi a nod and walked over to the front. Then he saluted Meng Kongqun and said, "A humble gift to congratulate you finding your lost son and gaining a new divine son, Dreamless Divine Regent. All fathers would be happy to have twin joys like this." Meng Kongqun gestured for the Master of Ceremonies to accept the gift while replying smilingly, "Thank you, wise nephew. This ceremony was held in a hurry, so I did not ask the men to send out invitation letters. I did not think you would have the leisure to attend with such short notice." Dian Jiaji replied honestly, "Jiaji was going to the Heaven Breaker Kingdom of God to visit Sister Kaylee, but when I arrived, I learned that she had already entered secluded cultivation to solidify her foundation. Then I heard of this conferral ceremony, so after asking for permission from Father, I decided to pay you a visit." "Ha ha ha!" Meng Kongqun laughed, though his smile seemed to be hiding something. You are as devoted as ever, nephew. I will remember this. Men, please take the boundless divine son to his seat. Meng Kongchen had just said this when suddenly his expression changed. His eyes abruptly darted toward the entrance before widening in complete disbelief. Then a cool, feminine voice that sounded like it belonged to an ice fairy from distant times entered everyone's ears. Heaven Breaker Kingdom of God Hua Kingying congratulates the Dreamweaver Kingdom of God on gaining a new divine son. Her voice was so cold it was emotionless, and yet there wasn't a single person present who wasn't astounded by it. They all shifted their gazes away from Diane Jiaji and looked back again. Their faces all showed disbelief, just like Meng Kongchen. A feminine figure in blue descended from above. She had blue hair and a face of ice like a figure in a painting. There were swords hidden within her eyes. There was no one in the abyss who hadn't heard about her. She was Hua Kingying, the Heaven Breaker Sword Fairy. Even after the Sword Fairy's lithe figure had entered their vision, the audience still couldn't believe what they were seeing. It was because the Sword Fairy had spent most of her time away from secular matters for so many years that she was more myth than person. She almost never appeared beyond the boundaries of the Heaven Breaker Kingdom of God, and she never took part in any sort of ceremony, until now. As if that wasn't enough, she had shown up, uninvited. Meng Kongchen's fingers clenched and unclenched as his panic took hold for a couple of moments. Then he took a few swift steps forward and declared in a loud voice, "To think that the Heaven Breaker Sword Fairy would arrive in person. This ceremony is so much more vibrant and colorful because of your presence. It would seem this divine regent must pay the Heaven Breaker Kingdom of God a visit one day to offer his thanks." "No need, dreamless divine regent." Hua Kingying replied in the cool, indifferent voice Meng Kongchen was most familiar with. "I have come to watch and only to watch. I harbor no motive or gifts. Therefore, you don't need to pay me any mind." Having said that, her figure rapidly grew transparent. The next thing they knew, she was standing high up in the sky and giving off an icy aura that rejected anyone and everyone. Meng Kongchen knew why Hua Kingying had come, of course. After all, he was one of the people who understood her the most. He knew that she was distant from everyone and everything except Hua Kaylee. Yun Qi and Hua Kaylee were meant to be together, so her protectiveness had extended to Yun Qi as well. She was here because she was afraid that Hua Kaylee's man would suffer undue humiliation. Meng Xuanju snuck a glance at Hua Kingying and gritted her teeth in secret. Diane Jiaji flew up to greet Hua Kingying, but he was blocked by an invisible wall of sword qi before he could get close. He immediately got the hint and saluted Hua Kingying before returning to his seat. He did not seem disappointed in the slightest despite the woman's curt rejection. Diane Jiaji was one thing, but no one was expecting Hua Kingying's appearance. This made the already weird ceremony even more bizarre than it already was. The lords of the dream halls were exchanging confused glances with each other as well. When it was almost time for the ceremony to begin, the protagonist finally showed his face. For a time, everyone's gaze was fixed on the silver-robed man, slowly making his way over to the venue. Meng Jianyuan's return was undoubtedly the hottest topic of the week. It was rumored that he had been wandering the world alone for over a century, and that the reason he never returned until now was because he had lost his previous memories. It was also rumored that Meng Kongchen, a divine regent, had shed tears when he recognized him. Most of them believed that a wanderer with no memory of a kingdom of God whatsoever must be panicked and agitated. After all, the kingdom of God must be an untouchable place to the likes of him, until he was told that he was the son of a divine regent. Then, just a week after his return, he was forced to attend the divine son conferral ceremony and face people who must seem like gods from a completely different plane to him. Surely he would be nervous, timid, lost, restless, and more. They were wrong. The man they were looking at was calm and relaxed. His footsteps were leisurely, and not a single ripple of fear or timidness could be spotted from his eyes. In fact, he looked lazy, as if he had just woken up from a nap. Besides his bearing, he was tall, fit, and boasted a countenance so handsome it almost looked sculpted. One look was all anyone needed to see that, in terms of appearance at least, he was better looking than all of Meng Kongchen's sons, and even Meng Jiangxi himself. He eventually came to a stop in front of Meng Kongchen and took a moment to scan the room. His face was unfamiliar, and his aura marked him as a level 3 divine master. And yet, they distinctly felt like he was looking down at them. "Oh!" Diane Jiaji's eyes sparkled with interest as he whispered to himself, "No wonder the dreamless divine regent acted so hastily. This boy is destined for greatness." Meng Jiangxi was sitting next to Diane Jiaji and so heard him clearly. His fingers clenched a little, but he responded with a smile on his face. Although Brother Yuan was ambushed and forced to wander the world for over a century, his blood and soul are a Dreamweaver's blood and soul. Forget, father, even I am most fond of my new brother. Diane Jiaji merely smiled and said nothing. This boy is much different from what I thought. There were whispers happening throughout the hall. His appearance and bearing really are surprising. It's too bad that his cultivation is weak, and he doesn't have any roots or loyalty in the kingdom of God. On top of that, he was forced to appear in public far too soon. It's a shame, really. Yun Qi saluted Meng Kongchen and Meng Xuanju. Yun Qi greets the dreamless divine regent and divine empress. I apologize for almost missing the start of the ceremony because of my tardiness. I humbly request that you forgive me. You're not late, you're just in time, Meng Kongchen replied gently. Yun Qi's remark caused shockwaves to ripple throughout the crowd, however. Meng Xuanju furrowed her brow and spoke up. Yun Qi, dreamless divine regent, you are Meng Jianyuan, son of my husband, and you have returned to the Dreamweaver kingdom of God. How can you address yourself by your old name, and how can you address your father by his title directly? Yun Qi looked up and replied evenly, Divine Empress. The dreamless divine regent was the one who informed me of my former identity, but this junior does not possess any memories from before he was 10 years old, and so could not bring himself to accept or acknowledge it at all. My master is the one who saved my life and bestowed me the name Yun Qi. I don't think that an identity that has appeared out of nowhere and a set of memories I don't even possess are above my master's undying favor to me. Unless I regain my former memories, I am unwilling to call myself anything else but Yun Qi. Ludicrous. Meng Xuanju's voice grew harsh. The audience was taken aback by Yun Qi's audacious reply as well. After all, Meng Jianyuan's declaration was childish and foolish at best, or belittling the Dreamweaver kingdom of God at worst. Meng Xuanju was going to use this opportunity to rebuke Yun Qi, but Meng Kongchen burst out laughing. Ha 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 ha, well said. You don't abandon loyalty because of interest, nor do you forget favor because of pressure. As expected of my son, all sons and daughters of Dreamweaver should be like you. Meng Xuanju was forced to swallow her words. Her face was contorting, and her complexion was ugly because of this. Meng Kongchen continued as if he didn't notice his wife's reaction. Had you forgotten your master's favor just because you discovered that you are the son of a divine regent, I would have been most disappointed in you, Yuaner. After all, what would be the difference between you and those people who only care only for interest and forget morality? Those flies and dogs who pursue nothing but their petty interests. The group who wanted to seize the opportunity to belittle Yun Qi turned bright red in an instant. At the same time, cold sweat was pouring profusely down their foreheads. Seriously. It was at this moment Meng Jiangxi got up to his feet and said smilingly, Although Brother Yuan was away for 100 years, he remains true to himself. I am most gladdened and impressed. Father's words are also as broad as the ocean and fully demonstrates the vast magnanimity of our Dreamweaver kingdom of God. He then looked at Yun Qi directly and said, Brother Yuan, Mother has always been a strict woman, especially where the Dreamweaver's dignity is involved. That is why she rebuked you. I hope you won't take it to heart. It wouldn't be good for a rift to appear between you and Mother. His words were few, but Yun Qi counted at least 5 hidden traps in the statement. He nodded slightly and replied indifferently, Don't worry, Divine Sunzai, I did not take it to heart at all. Meng Kongchen nodded. You and her, I will find a way to restore your memories. Until then, you have my permission to use the name Yun Qi, both because of your integrity and faithfulness, and to thank your master for saving your life. This is the end of this matter, and I will hear it no more. Meng Kongchen had afforded Yun Qi his greatest leniency right before everyone's eyes. He was also showing just how much he loved Meng Jianyuan, and how far he would go to spoil his son. It was an attitude he had never afforded to anyone, and it undoubtedly sent varying ripples of emotions across everyone's heart. It's almost time. Meng Kongchen took a step forward. Yuaner, come to me. His eyes were filled with the pressure of a true god, and his voice was infused with his supreme aura. The entire kingdom could hear his voice as he declared, My son, Jianyuan, was the first Dreamweaver divine son of my Dreamweaver kingdom of God. However, he suffered a terrible tragedy when he was young and was forced to wander the world for over a century before he finally returned. This is both my and the kingdom of God's failure. Today, my son Jianyuan will regain his title as divine son. Offer him your congratulations and blessings. He then turned to look at Meng Jiangxi. Jiangxi, Yuaner will be a Dreamweaver divine son just like you after today's ceremony. I expect the two of you to work together and support each other for the sake of Dreamweaver's future. Meng Jiangxi shot up to his feet and declared seriously, As you command, Father, I will join hands with Brother Yuan to share your burdens and forge the glory of Dreamweaver. Very good, Meng Kongchen nodded. Now let the divine son conferral ceremony of my son, Meng Jianyuan be. Wait, please allow me to say something, Supreme One. A masculine voice cut off the dreamless divine regent. The owner of the voice was standing, and he was none other than the lord of the seventh dream hall, Meng Jiangxi's uncle Meng Xuanji.